Welcome to Deep Dive. I'm your host, Kevin Benedict, and I want to thank everyone out there for joining us today. I'm so excited to have as my special guest, Parna Sarkar-Basu. Parna, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Now, Parna is the founder of Brand and Buzz Marketing. I've known her for a long time. Our careers have crossed over many times. So, Parna, I wanted to reach out to the expert that you are and ask you some questions and learn more about kind of the latest in digital marketing. How's that? How does that sound?
That sounds perfect. I will try my best to answer your questions.
All right. So Parna, where are you calling in from today?
I'm calling in from snowy Boston.
All right. So before we started recording, she identified snowy as about 6 inches. Well, I'm in my studio here in McCall, Idaho, up in the mountains today, and we have 4 feet of snow. So I've got you beat today, Parna.
You got it.
Can't say that always, but I got you today. So before we get going, why don't you just tell us about yourself, Parna?
We focus on corporate marketing, corporate branding, and thought leadership. And so we've had the privilege of working with quite a few technology companies, as I'm a tech advocate and have been in the technology world now for about, as you mentioned, 15 years plus. And most of the companies that we work with are in the enterprise software space, in robotics, in technology associations, as well as human capital management. But primarily it's all in the technology sector.
Wonderful. So Parna, let's pick your brains about your experience and your insights out there. How have you seen the way marketing is done? How have you seen that change over the last 5 years, let's say?
As marketers today, we really have to stay on top of the different regulations that are out there, making sure that we are not invading, the individual privacies. So we have to be very cognizant of the boundaries and the guidelines that we all have to work with today. Secondly, I think the customers today are so engaged, and they're the ones who are often driving the brand image or the brand engagement, so to speak. And I think being in the digital era, the biggest thing the customers demand today is really real time. Everything is real time, whether it's real time responses, you want to download and see a movie, it's all now. I mean, look at how we're using Uber.
Absolutely.
We want to travel, you need it now. So we as marketers have to keep in mind, the trends that are out there, the privacy laws that are out there, as well as what the customers are demanding. And I think all of that brings us down to, it's really about how we humanize brands. Customers are people who are buying a product. It's people who are building technologies. It's people who are the face of the company. So it's really, how do we bring all of that together and humanize the brand and show the impact people are making on society, on businesses. So I feel like now it's no longer about just sell. It's more about how do you humanize, how do you connect, and while staying within the boundaries that we all have to work as marketers.
If you're working with a medium-sized company and you're wanting to help build the brand and build thought leadership, what would be your, where would you start and how would you decide what would be the best strategy for an individual company?
So I would say, depending on the size of the company and who I'm working with, so let's say this is the CEO of the company who normally I would say has to be the face of the company, because that too will look to whether you are buying a product or looking to join as a company, what is the CEO's vision? So that's where I would look at, how do I position the CEO in 3 words? Mm-hmm. And then how do I, because they're so busy, how much of their time can I use? I try to take no more than 2 hours a month from a CEO in order to do that. So it could be that we do a quick Q&A, we can do a byline, you name it. And then we look at how am I going to amplify that. So the normal channels are, you put it on the website, and if it's a video, you put it on YouTube, so on. But one of the tools that I think is really, really important, and especially because original content is so precious, because you're taking time from a CEO's schedule, as well as you're building something. So how do we amplify? So amplification plays a really big role for us in both thought leadership and amplification. So one of the tools that I use for almost everybody is a platform called MarketBeam. And MarketBeam essentially is a platform that I can have all the employees sign up to, and the employees don't have to do anything. So it's us who is, amplifying that information to all, to the channels that each of the employees have signed up for. And data shows that when content comes through individuals, it's better consumed, better engagement there. So when we are able to use the employees as your advocate and use a platform like MarketBeam where nobody has to do anything, but it's really us, I think that helps a lot.
So on the subject of thought leadership, Parna, what is the value? I mean, how much emphasis should a company put on thought leadership?
Thought leadership is really a very key strategy that we have been using over the last, at least I would say, 5 years or more. And if you look at the research that's done by Edelman and LinkedIn, that tells you that thought leadership plays a huge role in how companies identify their vendors. It helps open doors. It helps close business about 50% faster.
Wow.
So one of the reasons I think thought leadership is really important is because people are so tired of being sold to. So I think thought leadership is more where you are showcasing your expertise without selling. And I think that's the value that people find, is that, they are not being sold to, but they're actually learning from an expert.
Parna, what advice would you give to somebody that wants to be, project and amplify their voice out there? They want to be known as an expert in their field. They want to be a thought leader, if you would. What advice would you give them on how to start?
One is ask why you want to be a thought leader. Is it because you want to start a new business? Is it because you want to start a different career, or because you want to, move up in your career? Secondly is what do you want to be known for? Mm-hmm. You want to be known as an entrepreneur, as an engineer, as a marketer. And then the third is how do you want to position yourself? How do you want to describe yourself in 3 words? In my case, I say I'm a brand and buzz marketer. Granted, as 4 words.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the things that I found, Parna, is that if you do write a long form report on an industry based on some new data that you've been able to put together, then you can break that report down into all kinds of digital assets, right? You can speak it and record that as a podcast. You can do a video commentary on the report that you just did and give the highlights. You can build webinars. You can break down a 20-page report into 20 individual blog articles. So, that's one of the ways that I've seen that when you can invest in one project or one big report, and that can actually be content for, 3 months, 6 months out there. And you can actually, have your team help publish all that other content once you've written the big piece. So final question for you, Parna, before I let you go back to your busy schedule here. What advice would you have for a marketer fresh out of the university who wants to start their career? What would you tell them? Okay, here's the skills I believe you need to start investing in now that you're starting, so that you can be ready for a leadership position in marketing 10 years from now. What would you tell them?
I'd give them 3 tips.
Okay.
First and foremost will be make sure you're data driven.
Okay.
Because today everything is about data, it's about analytics. You don't just put a program and say, I don't know how it went. You got to be able to justify the program, share the ROI, and see what's working and what's not. And all of that is data driven. You don't have to be a scientist to be data driven. That's all of us today. So that's my first tip. The second is stay in the know, because trends change, regulations are changing, technology changes, MarTech is changing, consumer behavior is changing. So we always have to know, what's happening in the market. And if we know what's happening in the market, it not only allows us to be good marketers, but we can also help make our clients be more relevant in the industry, therefore help create the brand and buzz for them. And the third point would be network, because at the end of the day, it's who you know.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Parna, for taking time out of your snowy and busy day to give us this kind of insight from your experience and in your career. So thank you again for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. It's absolutely my pleasure. And enjoy that 6 feet of snow out there.
Absolutely. And I want to thank everyone out there who tuned in for joining us today.